Hey class, so today I'm going to be talking about one of the major fundamentals of golf, being swing plane. I'm going to break this lesson into two parts where I'm going to talk about the proper swing plane in which you travel the club up to the top of the swing and then following through the golf ball, and then in the next video I'm going to make a few comments on the proper grip to give you a perfect strike every time. So in this video, this is me practicing at Cabarrus Country Club in Concord, and this particular day I was having a lesson with my swing coach about proper swing plane. So as we start the swing, we can see that as I move, I take the club straight back. The club head moves off the golf ball straight back. It doesn't go outside of the golf ball. It doesn't go inside towards my right hip. All it's going to do is just go straight back. And then from here, you're going to take the tip of the club head should be pointing straight up to the sky. If it's leaning back towards your right hip or the club face is open towards the sky, then that means you have an open club face, which impacts your swing plane. Also, if the club head is pointed more towards the ground, that means you have a closed swing plane, which means whenever you take it back, the club is usually going to be pointing straight right. And when the club head is open, it's going to be pointed left. And when you have it perfect, the club head is going to be directed directly at your target. So as the club goes back, you can see right here, the club head is pointed straight up at the sky, and the shaft of the club is on my right forearm, which is good. And as we keep going and it moves to the top of the swing, you can see that the club head is perfectly in line with my left arm. So the club face is exactly parallel to my left arm, which means that I have a square club face. Also, an important thing to know whenever you're on plane is that in between the right arm and the left arm, there is a little triangle right here, which means you are generating space and energy throughout the golf swing to incorporate a good contact within the golf ball. So as we start down, the shaft of the club is still right on line with the right forearm, and the club face is still pointed straight up to the sky. One important factor when it comes to the downswing is making sure that you're keeping good posture, your back is flat, and then right here where the right heel is supposed to stay on the ground. Some golfers, experienced golfers, create leverage by bringing up that right foot, like I do, right at impact whenever I hit the golf ball, because usually there's a little bit of inconsistency in every golf swing. So not much problem went on in this golf swing, but usually whenever the back of your heel comes up, your weight distribution is off in some factor. So one detail to talk about is whenever I strike the golf ball is taking off on a good straight line and the club face is swinging out to the left. So not to get too technical about it, but whenever you're coming through into the golf ball, your swing is supposed to finish left. And the reason for this is because for the club face to become perfectly square with the golf ball at impact, you have to rotate the club face over. So whenever you're coming down, you're coming at a slight angle into the golf ball to push it out to the right. And then whenever it squares up right at impact, that's what causes it to go straight. For measurement instances, if you were to come in at an angle where your swing path is, say, 2 degrees to the right, which means your club face is slightly open, pointed to the right whenever you impact a golf ball. That means that the club face itself would have to be shut 4 degrees for it to actually go straight. This would there's been instances where I've had a swing plane where I've come in shallow to the golf ball, which means that my golf club is swinging very far inside, coming down where the club face would be under my right forearm, and the club would be swinging further out to the right than it's supposed to. So, for instance, if I was swinging 12 degrees out to the right, I would have to have a club face that was 24 degrees shut to the left for it to go straight. But for this swing particularly, it's probably no more than 5 degrees out to the right, which means that my club face is around 8 to 10 degrees shut, causing it to go straight. Another factor that plays a large role in the direction in which the golf ball is going is the club face and that degrees. So if the club face is open at the strike of the golf ball, then that means that it's going to go straight and it's going to curve off a little bit to the right. But if the club face is closed at impact, then the golf ball is going to start off straight and it's going to draw a little bit and fade off to the left. A big factor of this is just how the golf ball is struck at impact and the kind of spin that you're putting on the golf ball. So the majority of the time, the golf ball at impact is going to always start off straight. But how you impact it determines the spin. So if you come in at an angle and the club face is closed, like I do right here, the head of the golf club is pointed a little bit more to the left, but it matches up with my downswing. So it's going to start off a little straight and it's probably going to draw to the left about 5 to 10 yards. But if I come in at an angle and my club face is open at the same degree, it's going to also start straight, but it's just going to tail off to the right about 5 to 10 degrees, 5 to 10 yards as well. And then obviously at the very end, it's important to have a proper finish where your left leg is straight and your hips are not open too wide to the left. And if your hips, one distinction, if your hips are open too far left, is that your right foot will be rolled over. Your ankle will roll over more to the right than mine is. Mine is straight up and down, which means I had good balance coming through the golf ball and it was struck fairly well. If you are struggling with balance, then your foot will, like I said before, will fall off to the right a little bit, or if your hips aren't rotating enough, they won't be pointed directly to the target and your foot will be partially planted on the ground still. And then these are some of the key aspects to, I guess, look for whenever you are practicing your golf swing so that you can practice on parts of your game that need more help. So keep in mind that for a swing plane, always to keep it straight, take it straight back, have the shaft of the club match up with your right forearm, and then at the top of the swing, have the club pointed directly at your target. And then how it should be is the club should follow the same path that you took going back, and then making a strike swinging slightly left to ensure that the club face is getting square to the ball to have that proper strike.